Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in, and in this video we're going to talk about a very important topic that we as an American are living under it, or as an immigrant we have been affected by it. However, we don't really see it or understand it because it has been perpetrated in a perfect manner and with amazing plan in order to not showcase itself, and yet be around us and affect us, affect our mindset and how we look at majority of the things in this nation, in this world. And what I'm talking about is about the news and the Western media, to say the least, right? And the reason I decided to make this video, it's because a lot of us again are living under this, living around it, yet not really understanding it. And it's not your problem. It's not my problem that I don't get it as an immigrant, that I don't get it as an American. Because the plan has been put together perfectly and has been executing and correcting itself for over years. Alright, so don't be ashamed of yourself if after this video you're going to be like, oh, this was right in front of my eye. Why I haven't seen it? Why I haven't recognized it? Why I haven't identified it? It's because we even have courses or sessions within courses in universities talking about this topic. So don't be ashamed of yourself and know that this plan has been put together for a long time and it's been correcting itself to the way that a lot of people cannot point it out. Alright, now let's tackle it. So what is the agenda of this video? We're going to talk about it. We're going to basically give an overview of it. We're going to talk about, I'm specifically going to mention three main factors of how it's being executed. And then I'm going to talk about my personal opinion and personal experience that kind of happened to me, which later on when I've learned about it, I was like, oh, damn. I was so affected by this whole thing. And then I'm going to talk about the good news about the whole situation. So stay tuned. All right, let's talk about it. So as I said, this is a very well planned that has been put together, that has been feeding to us or has been fed to us by majority of outlets. One of them is like Hollywood and these amazing musics that we see, or music outlets. There's amazing movies that comes out that perpetrate the West. And when we say the West, it is US, Canada, Europe, and all these countries that they're allied with, right? They're not gonna really say anything perfect about certain alliance, but they're absolutely going to highlight and make an amazing picture of these countries in the West. All right. And then they're not going to say, as I said, much about their allies that, for example, the West has in the Middle East, but then they're going to downplay or make a huge effects of everything that is happening within the countries in the Middle East or in other portions of the countries that do not necessarily align with them or agree with them, in order to make themselves this perfect country and make the rest of the world or these specific countries look as horrible or look like a hell. Alright, again, is all to bump their own image. And what is it going to do for us? What is it going to do to you and me, to those of us who are planning to come to the US, those of us who are living in the US, those of us who migrated to the US? It's going to make us feel better, those of us who are living in the US at the moment, feeling better about the decisions that we have made, about migrating in the US, about putting up with all the inequalities that exist in this country, about like going through the difficulties and keep our mouth shut. Because why? Because we have seen in these news that people on the other side of this earth have it worse, and we should be appreciative of what we have. And it also will encourage those those top performers who are living in these other countries, specifically those who are being targeted and looked down heavily, to think about moving, to think about migrating, because there is this amazing country or amazing countries in this planet that they can have a better life at. So they start these top performance, these amazing mechanics, these amazing engineers, these amazing computer scientists, all come to the US, all come to the Canada, all come to the Western countries, and appreciate everything and appreciate all the difficulties that they have to deal with. It's okay, because our country, our culture was so bad, was so behind. We were a third world country. We were struggling, right? So that's the agenda. And what's going to happen is that, of course, it's like a turbo. It's going to enhance the performance of these countries that all of a sudden now magnifies and got all those amazing people into it much, much faster to go to the higher level. So of course they will be ahead of them, ahead of these other countries, because they're just like consuming all these great people. All right, so how they're doing it. So now we learn about the agenda and the plan that is behind the whole thing, and how they're doing it, how these Western media is doing it. A is through the language that they're using. They not only, like strategic wise, they're not only, as I've said before, they're going to magnify all the problems that is happening within certain countries in this world. All these things that happens, like this thing goes wrong or that thing goes wrong, they make it huge, as this is like a huge problem, as this is a significant problem in this country or in the world, that everybody should be aware of it, that everybody should be afraid of this country or that continent because we have this problem going on. And not really talk about what is happening in the West. Maybe there are some equivalency that we have also going on in the West or in these specific countries that are perpetrated as a perfect, yet they're not really mentioned. We don't see the scope coming at them and really stay on them for a long period of time, or for as equivalent as what we are paying attention to or they are bringing to our attention of the problems that is happening in these other countries that they want us to assume they're horrible. So strategic wise, they magnify the problem in these horrible countries, consider them horrible, not really putting any effect or effort onto the problems that we have going on in the West and in the Western countries. But then they also use the language. Like, this many people have been murdered, brutally murdered, beheaded, versus they've died. They've been affected. You see the difference of these words that I just used and the image that is going to create in your head? They're going to do the exact same thing with you. They're using their words very carefully in order to perpetrate this situation that is happening in the West with these nice words, with these less effective words, versus when it comes to these other countries that they want to make it look bad, now they're going to use these extreme words that often have this horrible connotation imagery coming with them or associated with them. And then on top of that, they're going to use the videography. That's their third method. So strategy, vocab, or the verbal usage, and then third will be videography, or the pictures that they use is also going to be horrible. It's going to be from all the angles that this horrible thing took place in just one country, and not so much about this incident that took place in the West. Oh, we just, like, 1 minute, 2 pictures. But then when this thing happens in the Middle East, we have all the videos. Now the surveillance shows. Now the recent video, the following day, they're still talking about it. The recent video that we have gathered from the source in South India about what took place in Uzbekistan or something like that shows that, and these are unseen footage. So you see, they're still trying to go with that methodology. And that's what the plan is behind the whole thing. Now, we talked about how they're doing it. We talked about the whole plan. Let's talk about what is the good news about the whole thing. The perfect news here is this. And what do I mean by this? I mean these new sources that will allow regular people who don't have all these sponsors, people who don't have all these ties that they have to open their mouth and associate something so negatively or associate something so positively because they've been told. They can come out and they can echo their voice about the concerns that they have by putting together a short, by putting together a video, by writing an article and having their own website, by putting together a simple Instagram post. Now, of course, none of these platforms are perfect. We have seen with all the data that came out how Facebook has been monetizing and doing its thing when it comes to basically the data that it wants to demonstrate to people. We also know about YouTube, and we know that Europe is pushing about even having more control about what people are putting out. But still, we are moving forward. We are seeing a lot of people, especially if you pay attention, these successful people going towards this path. Because the industry is changing as slowly as it's happening, but it is happening frequently. And it's going to get to the point that these news sources or these outlets have less and less people believing in them, if not is happening at the moment. Right? So that's a perfect news. I mean, we can see with Joe Rogan. I know Joe Rogan to some is a horrible person, but his podcast is amazing. If we're talking about science, we see Andrew Huberman and what he's doing. So there is a lot to kind of point out and show the success of it. And there's a reason that all these rich and successful people are going towards it, because they have been successful. So that's the hope, that's the problem, and we just talked about the methodologies that they're using. And I just want to finish this by saying that I personally was affected by this whole imagery and methodology that have been used when I moved here, to the point that I was ashamed to introduce myself as an Iranian for a long time in the US, especially when I was in high school, especially when I was in community college, and even the first couple years of me transferring to a 4-year university. I was just ashamed because of this whole imagery that they fed to me, right? And thankfully, after taking a lot of courses, after educating myself, and after seeing all the facts and comparing them with what I've been told, I now proudly introduce myself, and I'm proud of where I come from and what I have and how I was built. All right, and I hope that's the case with you guys. I hope you guys are awake and do not just accept anything that has been fed to you, and question everything, because that's what matters, and make the right decisions. I hope this educational video was useful to you. Please like, subscribe, and comment on anything that you like. And this way it will help our channel to grow. We are so close to put together our website, and hopefully as soon as it's live, I will announce it on this channel. Thank you again for watching this video, and hope you enjoy your day. Peace.